This is my 2012 Porsche Cayman S Black Edition. And I'm not Doug Demuro, but I will try to show you all the quirks and features. So I'm going to show you as many features as I know of and doing some research about this car. Some features I've never really even used before, but I'll try to describe what they do. If you see that I missed anything or there's any inconsistencies or you want to correct me or anything, just mention it in the comments below. Porsche introduced the Black Edition in 2012, kind of like a touring version of the Cayman R. The Cayman R is the track Cayman that also was released in 2012. Two similarities between the Cayman R and the Black Edition are the 19-inch forged sport wheels, or some people call them the spider wheels. That's also an option or standard, I guess, on the Cayman R. And also the Black Edition has the same tuned 330 horsepower engine as the Cayman R. Porsche equipped the Cayman S Black Edition with the 9A1 engine, also found in other Cayman S models sold between 2009 and 2012. This Cayman S is equipped with a manual transmission, as mentioned before, and the final drive is 3.88. The curb weight of the Cayman S is 2,976 pounds. This Black Edition is equipped with the 19-inch spider wheels, as also equipped on the Cayman R, but these are painted in black for the Black Edition. And it also has 6-piston caliper Brembo brakes up front. The rear brakes are equipped with 4-piston Brembo brakes, and as you can see, I've got the wheels wrapped in Michelin 4S tires. And let's see, the front, well, you can't see it here. Actually, that's the Pilot Sport 4S, I'm sorry. And you can't see it, it's upside down. But the tire size is the 235, 35, 19 in the front, Z-rated tire. And in the back is a 265, let's see if I can get that, 265, 35, ZR19. Something I haven't mentioned until now, but this particular Cayman is a little different than a normal Cayman. I think a normal Cayman has about 4.5 inches of ground clearance. This Cayman has been lowered by KW-V3 suspension, and the drop is about 1.25 inches, so 1.4 inches. So the ground clearance of this car at its lowest point, not counting the little fender guards up front there, is 3 inches. So I have to be very mindful of gutters or dips in the road or things like that, leaving and entering parking lots, because I could scratch the front bumper. So that's something I've driven in a car that's been lowered for many years now, and I'm used to it. You kind of get used to watching for trouble spots. Owning a car like this that's low, you just have to be mindful and try to enter and exit trouble spots and dips at an angle. But 3 inches will actually clear most normal, what do you call them, speed bumps. So most speed bumps actually clear. Locally, I'd make sure to measure the speed bumps to make sure that my cars can clear, so the speed bumps that I normally drive over in the neighborhood. But if I get to a new one, I either have to anticipate it beforehand and either try to avoid it, drive around it, or just go somewhere else. But like I said, I rarely ever have a trouble. I don't bottom out usually on speed bumps with about 3 inches of clearance. Other exterior features of the car, as you can see here, there's a left and right rear intake slot right there. And if I go around here, there's one on the other side. Now, interesting thing enough, you would think that both of these actually bring air into the engine. I believe this one might bring air into the engine compartment. You can probably tell me in the comments what the actual if the right duct is actually used for anything. But the left duct, interesting enough, is the only duct that feeds the air intake. So the air intake is mounted right behind that panel there, and there's an air box in the middle where the engine is, and that feeds air into the engine compartment. Well, it feeds air into the air intake, and the air intake feeds air into the plenum, and the plenum feeds air into the motor. Another cool feature of this Cayman S is it has auto dimming mirrors, which is something I've never had in a car before. Essentially, when bright light hits the mirror, the side mirrors or the rear view mirror, the glass tints up, which is a really nice feature. Older cars, you'd have to flip a switch on the rear view mirror to make the bright lights behind you go away, but this is a really nice feature. Also, I'll show you the folding feature of this mirror. I think some models you can actually get optional where it's automatic folding mirrors, but this particular one, see if I can do this with holding the phone. If you push the inward, there's a little red switch here, if you can see there, and then if you pull that switch towards you and slowly release the mirror, then you get a little bit of peace of mind here from other people parked next to you. So to release, all you do is you just push towards the window, it clicks back in, and slowly release the mirror back. And that's how you operate the folding mirror. For exterior features, this is equipped with the auto rain sensing feature on a lot of modern cars, some luxury cars, some standard cars today. And it's got two sensitivity levels, a standard one and a really sensitive one. So basically when rain or snow hits the windshield, the windshield wipers will turn on automatically. A little discussion about the side markers in this car. I believe the side markers for the US market are the amber markers, and I believe for the European models, they're actually the clear markers. Front, this Cayman S is equipped with the LED fog lights and the LED parking lights. I think if you see right next to the fog light. I might be wrong, these might not be the parking lights. This might just be part of the fog light system. You could call them daytime running lights. The car is also equipped with daytime running lights. Fortunately, Porsche gives you an option to turn these off. I'm really annoyed by the daytime running lights, and it's just my opinion. I do believe that the fog lights on look really cool, but I don't really prefer headlights to be on during the day when I drive. Cayman S is equipped with the bi-xenon headlights, and they actually turn automatically when the car turns. So if you turn left, the lights turn a little bit to the left. If you turn right, the lights turn a little bit to the right. Quick little feature is this car has the front tow hook, and I'm not going to open it up. It's that little panel there on the front bumper. You can open up that tiny little circular panel, and it has a receiver for a hook. Actually, I might have the hook, but it's got a metal hook or steel hook. Let's see here. So you open up the front and you screw that in, and then a tow hook driver could hook up to that and tow up the Porsche from the front. In the rear, if you want to hook up the tow attachment, you just remove the license plate and you put the tow hook. You screw the tow hook into the receiver in the back behind the license plate. This is a US car, so as a US spec or safety feature, it's got the little bumper guards on the back. I believe in the European models you don't see these two little protrusions coming out from the bumper. You notice left and right there on each side of the license plate. So some people like the look, some people don't. I don't dislike the look, so I just keep it just for peace of mind. The gas tank door is on the front right, the passenger side. If you look here, the door is locked if the car is locked, but if you unlock the car, then you can push on the right side here. Opens up the gas door. And if you see there, for America, recommended 93. The car can run under 91 octane, usually sold in some states, or restricted to be sold in some states. Luckily I live in a state which allows 93, so I get the better octane rating. So if you look here, it's got the gas cap, and it's got a little connector that connects the gas cap. So to undo the gas cap, you just turn counterclockwise, you remove the gas cap, and if you see there, there's a little hook on the end there. If you put the hook there, it actually holds the gas cap away from the body of the car, so you don't mess up your beautiful Porsche paint. So, takes 93, you just put the gas in like you would any other car. And when you're done, you just remove this, put the gas cap back on, turn a couple of times, click, and then close the door normally. Spring-loaded door. Something else I want to mention briefly about the car, it's my experience as an owner. It's because I keep it in the garage and only drive it on the weekends. The car has an alarm system, but it actually shuts off automatically after 7 days to preserve the battery. So at first I was using a battery tender during the week to keep the battery topped off because the alarm system draws a little bit of power. But because it has that auto feature, I've actually stopped using a tender for several years, and I never had a problem with the battery. The battery is fine. It's never run out on me. So in case you drive the car, as long as you drive the car every week or week and a half or something like that, you know, if you don't let it sit for so long. Porsches like to be driven, so I'm told, so you don't want to have the car sit around for so much. If you do, you want to take the necessary steps for long-term storage. You can find any of that online. Like I said, I usually drive mine once a week, at least once or twice a week on the weekend, so I don't have a problem with the alarm system drawing the battery too much. Feature the car has the windows here. Now normally they're not tinted. These are tinted because I've had them tinted by 3M ceramic tint. But another feature is because you're opening and closing the rear hatch, there's a lot of pressure in the car that builds up. So if you have the doors closed and you try to close the hatch, it's harder to do so because of the pressure in the car. So to normalize the pressure, Porsche actually cracks the windows automatically when you open the door. So that allows the pressure to normalize in the car, so you can close the door easier without damaging the seals over time. So if you notice, you can open the door. You might not have noticed that. The windows go down just a quarter inch, half an inch, and then the windows go up after you close the door. Same for the right side. Windows are cracked. It's kind of annoying if you're cleaning the car and you open and close the doors. There'll be a tiny little water line at the top of the window. So if you want to perfectly clean your windows, you have to make sure you open your doors and clean that little portion of the window that has the little water on it, water line. But if you notice, the windows are cracked currently. Allows me to close the door easier without damaging the door seals. And if you close it a little bit, it doesn't work. You have to fully close the door and see it goes up. Two notable features of the particular Black Edition and the package and styling that they do is that there are black exhaust tips on this car. I believe this might be an option for regular Cayman S owners, but in the Black Edition you get the black exhaust tips, the black painted spider wheels that I've shown before, and also you get this really cool Cayman S logo also in black, the badge there. I really like that. In fact, most of the cars I drive or prefer to drive, or cars that I prefer to own, I don't like chrome anywhere on the car. So even though this was a black car, I really enjoy the fact that the car is got no chrome. You've got a little silver around the wheel lining. I considered maybe painting that black to just completely black out the car and make it look extra mean, but that's okay. I gotten used to it. I think that's that little circular portion, and when I got the car, I noticed that the wheels have been painted and fixed a little bit, because there's a little, I don't know if you see it, but there's a little bit of tiny little curb rash repair that's been repaired. So it looks like someone curbed the wheel a couple of times maybe, but someone painted it up, made it look a lot better. I'm releasing another video that's actually describing all of the special features of the Black Edition and why it's different from the Cayman S and the Cayman R. I don't remember exactly what these are called. I think they're called door guards, maybe door sill guards, door jamb guards. But you only get the Black Edition guard if you buy the Black Edition. So it's a nice little door guard here that you can get equipped. It's really nice. You open the door and you're greeted with that Black Edition door guard there. You got one for the left and one for the passenger side too. An insert video here, different time, different place, talking about the badge on the Black Edition on the glove box here. This is number 476 out of 500 in the world. For the last exterior feature, I'm actually have to take you into the interior and show you one of the features of the active aero spoiler of the Cayman S. I believe this is also on the Boxsters, but it has a little spoiler lift there. I believe the operation is, it's got a little light on the corner. I'm not sure if you can see. It's a little light diode on the upper right. But usually the way that it works, I wish you could change the setting. There's no way to change the setting of the spoiler. It's speed activated, so the spoiler deploys at 75 miles an hour, or you can manually deploy the spoiler this way. So to activate the spoiler, deploy the spoiler, you actually have to turn the ignition on, or I would say maybe not the ignition, but the first setting to turn all the electronics of the vehicle on. And then you come here and press it, I believe it's one time. You may not hear that, it's very quiet. You could barely hear it. When you're driving, you don't hear it deploy at all. And then it deploys. I wish I had a cameraman. I would actually show you deploy. If you actually look at one of my first Cayman videos on this channel, you can see my little spoiler test. I mount a GoPro to the back of the window and I show how it deploys at 75 and how it also retracts at 40. So those are the 2 miles. 40 it retracts. When you drive 75 miles per hour, then it deploys automatically. I'm not sure if there's a way to keep it from deploying. Maybe if you had this partially on, it would not automatically deploy. This is the manual operation. So you press it once and it deploys all the way. And you can't see it, the light's hitting it, but let's see. Let's see if I can. There we go. That's what the light looks like when it's deployed, telling you if it's in manual operation. And then if you want to retract it, then you have to hold it, which I wish it was just one button press. I don't know why you would want to do, maybe sometimes you would want to keep it half retracted. I'm not sure if you don't want 20, 30 pounds of downforce, you only want 15. I don't know why you would choose that option. Maybe there's a cleaning benefit to it. But anyway, if you hold it just a little bit, it actually drops just a little bit. You know, I guess style-wise, you wanted it to look a certain way. It kind of looks cooler when it's lower. It's just barely sticking out. I see that being dirty, and that does not make me feel good. I'm not sound with that being dirty. Oh, I should have cleaned that is what I'm thinking. If you hold it all the way, light's still on, which means it's deployed. And the light goes out, which means that it's completely retracted. I believe that's the case. Let's go back. Yep, that's how you operate the automatic spoiler. Just want to go over the interior real quick. I believe there's some other little trim pieces that I'm not really familiar with. One of the things I think that's standard on this particular car is this 3-spoke sport wheel. I don't think I have the option. No, I don't have the option for the heated steering wheel. But this steering wheel sometimes can be found on PDK models where you actually have some information. That's actually a window on the left and right. And I'm not exactly sure what it displays there. If someone can mention in the comments what displays there, I believe it's some information for the gear that you're in. Maybe it's some information that's on the display that's normally in the center. But as you see, I've got black instrument cluster for the black edition, and I think this little shroud is also maybe an option. Pretty cool. That is what the instrument cluster looks like for the black edition. As I mentioned before, the dimming lights of the mirrors, I don't know if this controls the outside. I'm not sure if it does, but you have a little button here, and if you notice, you may not notice the light, there's a green light that comes on the right side. There it is. When you press the button, I think that disables the dimming feature. Not sure why you would want that. And then you press the button again, the light goes out. A couple more quick features. If you see that little microphone there, that's an aftermarket option. Had an aftermarket radio installed. Pioneer head unit to replace the PCM that I accidentally broke. Long story, but it has a Bose speaker system inside. I believe it's 12 speaker system. You've got front tweeters, 1, 2, and 3. And then you've got 2 in the door, it's 1 and 2. 2 in the other door. You got 2 rear speakers, where you see those towers. I'll mention that later. That's my coilover modification. But normally the speakers go right there between the storage compartment and the coilover tower. That's usually where the rear speakers go in the car. And a lot of people don't know, the Bose system has a tiny little amp that's under the passenger seat. Can't show you that now. I've got an aftermarket amp installed there. And another thing people don't know, something I didn't know until months or years after I bought the car, I was able to retain this, is a tiny little subwoofer that's right here in the floor. If you notice, there's a little bit of foot space because there's a couple of inches here on the side of this little cover. Behind that cover is the Bose subwoofer, which I was actually able to reuse for my current audio system. Alright, let's talk about storage in the Cayman S. You have a couple of storage spots. You have this in the door storage. You have the glove box. Open the glove box, normal glove box, a couple little funny quirks. You've got a couple of CD holders here. So the other radio that's equipped, the CDR-30, I believe, PCM CDR-30 is the model that comes with the Cayman S, the 987.2 models of the Cayman S, 2009 to 2012. You've got these funny little CD holders. There's 2 of them here. You push them in. If you put a CD in, it flips that switch here. Not sure how that works, but it's supposed to flip the switch, and you have a little red, this lights up red here. So you can actually store 2 additional CDs besides the one that goes in the CD player. And you've got a pen holder. Like I said, a pen holder. Yes, you can actually buy an authentic Porsche pen to go in your pen holder. Now I'm sounding like Doug Demuro. So you can just put your choice pen in there. Not very fancy because I don't have the Porsche pen with me. I did not buy that pen for $100 or whatever it costs. But yeah, a pen in case you needed to sign your speeding ticket that the cops give you. Alright, more about the storage. So you have a little storage area there. It's good for sunglasses, phone, whatever you want to put. I equipped my aftermarket radio with this little USB drive, female adapter. I can plug in my little USB drive. You see at the top of that. It's really helpful. Before, I had it in the center console. If you look around here, you've got the center console, some more storage. That's what it looks like. You've got the little coin slot holder I'm not sure what that is. Maybe more coins. I'm not sure what that is for. And if you notice here, you've got connections for iPod, USB, and auxiliary. So I would use my USB, would go there in the middle, auxiliaries on the left, iPods on the right. It's back in a day where people used their iPods, or some of them were still using iPods back in 2012, I guess. But the CDR radio, stock radio, would connect to either of those three. A storage compartment on the right side. As you see, I have some stuff in there. Every good Porsche owner should have something to clean his Porsche with at all times. And you have these little door lights, which you might not be able to see, but they turn on. So if you open your door and oncoming traffic can actually see you're not oncoming traffic, but I guess traffic that's behind you if you're parking, getting out of your car on the side, on the curb. It's got the... All right, to get to the rear storage compartment, I've got the sport seats, which I have not mentioned. Not very many options. Got a tiny little lumbar bar right there. You've got this little knob that makes the seat go back and forth. Got side airbag there in the seat, and it's just got the regular manual seat. Left goes forward and backwards. So that is the Porsche Sport seats that I think are standard on most cars. All right, to go in the back, you've got a couple of storage compartments, one there. Apologize about the little mark, that's a long story, that was my fault. And then you've got one right there. So if you noticed here, you can lift that up. You've got a little bit of space in there. You can put all kinds of things in there. It's a plastic cover. And you've got the back of the rear hatch. There is an option for a luggage concealer, I guess. There's a little thing that you can install to the back hatch that actually covers up the back portion. So someone looking in the back window can't see what you have stored in your Porsche in the very back part of the hatch. All right, the other way that you get into the storage, you've got a front trunk and a rear trunk. Since this is a mid-engine car, you actually have room in the front and room in the back. So to get in the front, you just pull that button. To get in the back, you pull that button. So go over here. And if you look down here, there's that little red switch. It's kind of hard with holding the phone, but you pull it to the right, I believe, and then pull up. And then here's where you have the frunk. No engine. That is the magic of the perfect balance of this vehicle. No engine in the front. So you've got several things to note here. One, I'll notice the very large rear storage compartment. I believe it's 4.9 cubic feet. I may forget it later, so I'll go ahead and tell you the rear storage is 9.6. So the car has a total trunk space of 14.5 cubic feet, which is surprising to people. You look at this car and you don't think it's got that much storage. It's actually got as much or more storage than a Mustang GT. So that's very interesting. Some people don't really think that. They're looking at the car, they don't know it's got that much storage. It's because it uses front and back trunks. So if you notice, it's got the little emergency glow-in-the-dark handle there in case someone is able to fit a small person in here. That's your way to get out. Emergency exit handle. You've got several cool things here. Let me see if I can describe some of the stuff. You've got the brake fluid, I believe. So the brake fluid you fill here. Put that panel back on. You also got another panel here. I'm not sure what's behind here. Probably something you can service. There's a little Porsche plate there that I believe was removed from the back. I'm not sure what's in here. Like I said, I don't usually go in here. Little Bosch card for a Bosch battery. And then you also have a little opening here. Like I said, it gets to some more parts. If you could tell me in the comments what this is, I'm not sure. Maybe this is the reason these panels are here. There's a little cable going to that. I'm not sure what that's for. Then you have other things. You have a couple of tabs here to remove the side panels. I won't do that because I don't think there's anything remarkable in there. Probably to get to the lights. I believe that's where you go to get to the lights, to change the light bulbs. All right, and the really cool little hidden thing here, turn these two little knobs on the left and right. And then you've got a couple of things. ABS. So that might be the ABS controller there. And then you got your roadside stuff here. It's attached to the other side of this panel. So you've got the tire inflation system. This one I'm not sure of. Tools, I believe. Let me pull this out. As you can tell, I've never removed this. Yeah, I think there's just tools. And this is the emergency tire inflation system, which I've never used. So yeah, pretty cool. Oh, one more thing. Usually the tow hook goes in there. I just have it more convenient location. And also, there is where the wheel lock is. This car is equipped, I believe it's an option for the wheel lock. And the wheel lock, all the wheel lugs you see look normal. Then you've got that one. It's got a different spline on it. Little spline configuration. So to remove each of those wheels have one of those locks on them. They call them locks because they're different. But you notice that one is the only adapter that will unlock that wheel lug. So if you need to remove wheels, very important, you don't need to lose this. If you need to service your car, get tires changed, wheels serviced in any way, anytime that the wheels need to come off the car, you need to remember your little wheel lock, or at least tell the installer where it is. Features in the front, you've got your windshield washer reservoir, and let's see if I can do this. These tabs, by the way, are really annoying. They don't really seat back easily. They're easy to remove, but hard to screw back in. That's where the battery is kept. One of the things I don't like about this battery, it's pretty heavy. It's about 55-pound battery. And if you notice, it's right up front here. It doesn't recede into the engine bay like a lot of batteries do in the front, or some manufacturers place the battery in the back to distribute the weight evenly in a car, sports car. But this battery is about 55 pounds and it sits up top. It's probably the heaviest thing in the vehicle other than the roof that sits pretty high. Even the engine sits lower than this does. Well, the top of the engine sits kind of where this battery is. So yeah, that's where the battery of the Cayman is, in the front trunk. All right, moving on to the rear storage. It's got a hatch, little hydraulics there, dampers that connect to the trunk. Get a little light there. Got the hook there. You have a little bit of concealment here. This little cover. But like I said, I think you can attach an additional thing to cover up the rear part. So you've got the rear part of the trunk, and then you've got the upper deck. And in the upper deck, you actually see those little hooks in the corners. Those little hooks, for you can put a net, so you can actually put some luggage or additional things on the top deck and secure it with the nets. As I mentioned before, usually you would see the black panels here that's covering this portion, left and right, and then you would see a speaker panel here and here, and that is normally where the speakers go. Usually there's this large hub, plastic hub that comes up, because I think the stock strut mounts come up a little bit in the stock mounts, but these were a little taller than the stock. These are KWV3 coilover. So these are the top towers of the coilover, and I could have cut those panels, but since this is a modified car, I figured I would just keep these like they are, not install the panels back or cut into the panels. In the rear, you have a maintenance door. Press that button down, lower. Porsche recommends Mobil 1 oil. And then you have these two little filler caps. You have one, that's the radiator on the right, to put some antifreeze in, coolant. And on the left, you got it, that's where you put the oil. So every good Porsche owner would put something down. It's got this little guard here, which is cool. So it's got this little guard because you're putting in fluids inside your car, in the back, where there's carpet and everything all the way around. They give you this little cool little rubber guard that protects against it leaking if you have a little splash. That protects a little bit. I always put like another cloth or bag or some plastic, usually something down around this, over this part, just in case it spills over this. And yeah, that's where you put the oil and the coolant in the Cayman S. Quick little overview, the Porsche key. It's got a standard key little here. It's not shaped like a Cayman or anything like that. But this is what the Porsche key looks like, this particular Porsche. And then if you see there, it's got 3 buttons. The top, the red, is a light. The little light when you press one of these buttons. But then you've got the top, which locks and unlocks the door. The second button, it unlocks the front trunk. Some people call the frunk. And then you've got the third button, which automatically unlocks the rear trunk hatch. I've noticed that sometimes these buttons don't work when you're kind of far away. You can unlock the car, but sometimes you have to keep walking towards the car to unlock the front or the rear trunk. And also, I noticed if you hold the button, it's more effective than if you just press it once. All right, let's talk some of the interior stuff. So, like I said before, this particular Porsche is equipped with the sport seats. I believe you can get the bucket seats. They're very expensive. The carbon fiber bucket seats, I believe they're, last time I checked, they were $8,000 or $9,000 to get after the fact. I'm not sure what the option cost is in the Cayman R, which is the most popular Cayman. You can find those bucket seats. Very expensive. I believe if the bucket seats, you save about 35 pounds overall. Another quick little tidbit of information that I only found out recently, the sport wheels, you save about 11 pounds for this being a forged wheel 19-inch option, which I've heard is the lightest weight Porsche wheel for this model. So you save about 11 pounds. I believe that's all 4 save you 11 pounds. The Cayman R also has the lightweight aluminum doors. I believe that saves you another 30 pounds or so. And yeah, so I just got the regular sport seats. That's kind of in the middle as far as weight. It's heavier than the carbon fiber bucket seats, but lighter than the advanced, whatever the advanced cool guy seats are. Has all the additional features in it. Even though these are the sport seats, they are heated. So you have driver and passenger side heated. You have 2 different options. I'll show you those buttons later. Yeah, so just go over a quick little overview of the car interior. Just the reason I showed you the seats again is because you have a couple of things that are leather. It's hard to tell, but you have stitched leather on the side compartment and the handle. And really hard to tell. I did not know for a long time until I was cleaning the car one day and noticed that the center storage compartment is also leather. That is leather wrapped. You have other things that are leather. Steering wheel, of course. Leather steering wheel. Some stitching there. I believe it's optional to get that top portion red or yellow or whatever. That's an option. What other things? Oh, yes. On the left and right side of the radio, you have some panels here. Those are also leather. This Cayman S is a manual 6-speed transmission. Reverse is on the left. 6-speed. Interesting note about it has, I believe, a 3.88 final drive, which I mentioned before. It's got the leather wrapped knob and shift boot, stitched leather. And interesting thing about this transmission is first gear goes up to about 30 miles an hour and second gear goes up to 75. So this car has very, very long gearing. Moving right along to some of the features, you have the vents here. You've got 4 vents, no vents in the doors, and then of course you have vents in the floorboard. And let's see, you've got the moves left and right, and then they go up and down. And then you have this button here on the side that closes or opens each of these vents. Same on the left, same in the center, same on the passenger, and same on the driver's side. And then you've got the emergency signal here. Activates your emergency lights. And other notable features. You have the auto lock system. Porsche calls that something, I believe. It's part of the security system of the car. If you wanted to lock your doors, you press that button. If you hold it, I believe it changes the behavior of how the doors operate. You have different modes or types. You have type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4, I believe it says in the instruction manual. So when this light is flashing, it's got a little diode here on the left side. That's lights flashing. That means the alarm is set. So when you lock your door, that little light blinks. When you unlock, it blinks really quickly and then goes away. That tells you you're safe to open the door without sounding the alarm. All right, more features. So you've got a couple of 12-volt sockets. You got one down here right above the subwoofer and the passenger floorboard. And then you've got where your cigarette lighter is. You got one right there, a 12-volt there. Adapter where the cigarette lighter goes, and I believe that's where I usually hook up my tender. So if you've got a tender with a cigarette lighter cable, you just attach your tender usually to that. There may be a way to attach it directly to the battery, but for convenience I actually attach the tender cable to the cigarette lighter socket. Alright, let's go over some of the buttons again. As I showed you before, you have there it is. That's to deploy the rear spoiler. You have an auto. This is climate control feature. So when you press the auto, you can tell the car to set at a certain temperature. You have a temperature rocker switch here, up and down. You just tap it up or tap it down. Sets your temperature reading here in the middle. The auto turns auto on or off if you want to keep that temperature setting. You have the direction where the air blows. So if you want it to your feet, you press that button, to the middle part of your body, and then if you want it to your head, you press this button, and it directs most of the air to those parts. Fan speed control, just like the other switch, it's a rocker switch, up and down. And this is where you have the traction control. So you press it on, little diode comes on. When it's off, press it again. Where the traction control, you activate it again. Funny little quirk about this. You've got a button here to turn the AC off. So you don't press a button to turn the AC on, you press a button to turn the AC off. I would call that a quirk. Very strange. Never been in a car before where you turn the AC off. I guess Germans love their air conditioning. I guess it's very hot in Germany, and why would you ever, no, I won't even try that voice. Why would you ever turn the AC off when you could be comfortable in your luxurious Porsche? So you've got the circulation button, so it circulates the air. You've got the seat function here. That's for the passenger seat heating features. 2 buttons, 2 lights means you have 2 different heat settings, and then you have one on this side. Rear defogger, or I believe that's the windshield defogger. And then this is the rear glass defogger. Now, a quick little video, show you the floorboard a little bit. It's 3 pedals, so that's manual transmission. Clutch is on the left, brake is in the middle, gas is on the right. It's got the dead pedal there. If you think that's a pedal, it's not. It's just the dead pedal, someplace to put your foot when you're not using the clutch. And the car, my experience, I don't heel toe a lot. I'm getting better at that. But the brake and the gas, pretty good for heel toe. If you have small feet, smaller than mine, I wear about a 10.5 shoe. So if you have something smaller than that, it might be troublesome, especially if you have a slim foot, or I don't know, a not so wide foot. A narrow foot is what they call it. You probably can't use that. You probably have to use the real heel toe method, like use toe on the brake and heel on the gas, or vice versa. So if you have a wide foot, you could probably do heel toe that way, using the left ball of your foot on the brake and the right ball of your foot on the gas. That would probably work. But I would say, on average, this car has pretty decent heel toe capabilities. Also equipped with door airbags. You've got the airbag there. I believe it's that centerpiece. It has the word airbag on it. Of course, you have the Bose thing, but I don't have Bose speakers. I have aftermarket speakers behind there. And then on the other side, you have the same thing for side door airbags. As I mentioned in the seat before, both seats have airbags in the seats. So you got little airbag pockets on the driver's side and the passenger side on the side of the seats. And also standard airbag, you have one there for the passenger, and then you have one in the steering wheel. Notable features about the Cayman S. You were wondering, well, it's got power frunk and power trunk, so what happens if the battery goes dead? How do you open the trunk or the frunk lid? Well, I'll show you. See, if you look at this little panel in the driver's side floorboard, there we go. That's where you have the fuse box in the front of the car. So you got all kinds of fuses there. Your little yellow tab there is the puller, fuse puller device or tool used to pull fuses. And if you notice, there's a little red marker there. I believe you have to pull that out. There's instructions in the instruction manual to do this, but I believe if you pull that out, you can attach a alligator clip to that. You want to attach a positive alligator clip to that particular red thing when you pull it out, and then you attach the other negative alligator clip to the chassis, and then attach those jumper cables to a spare battery. I guess you can use a jump box, like one of those lithium ion jump boxes, but you can add those and use that, and you can get enough power in case your battery goes dead to provide enough power to the door system to open the front trunk and the rear trunk. All right, as I mentioned before, it's got the automatic rain sensor. This is the wiper stalk. So you push forward, I believe, and that gives a quick little spurt, and the windshield wiper blades move a couple of times. If you hold towards you, pull the lever towards you, then it will run as long as you have that lever pulled. The center switch toggle goes up and down. It's your different levels of the automatic wiper blade, how often the intervals are, how short or long the intervals of the wiper blade. I have it all the way down, which I believe that means that it comes on less frequently. And another little thing, if I can get in here, has a little button here. This is for the headlight washer. So I believe if you hold that or press that, go out here, activates the little washing hubs there. If you see in front of the headlight washing system, I believe it's actually an option that these are painted black, and of course it's black edition, so they would be black. Actually, they're not painted black, they're painted the body color. So you can have that as an option if you really don't want these to be chrome, to be painted black, but I have one for the left and right headlights. On the left side is your turn signal. Interesting that that light sounds. I have the ignition turned off, the electrical system turned off, so it makes that little noise when you left or right. So usually when you have the ignition on, you have the left and right turn signal. Of course, a lot of cars, German and American cars, if you pull the lever towards you, it flashes the front headlights. You're flashing someone. If you want to turn on the brights, you just push forward one time. All right, you have your cruise stalk that's right below your windshield wiper stalk. You have the cruise control. To turn on cruise control, you just press that button on the end and it turns on the cruise. A little green light will show up on your display there showing you have cruise enabled. And then to set the speed, you just drive up to the speed you want to drive, and then you push forward, and that sets the cruise, holds the speed at that, holds the car at that speed, the drive at that speed. And then if you want to lower your speed, you push towards you. Also, it works if you tap it, it will increase 1 mile per hour. If you pull it towards you, it'll decrease 1 mile per hour. If you're not in cruise and you want to resume the previous cruise speed, you just push up. And if you want to turn off your cruise control, you pull down. Notable features and quirks you've seen in other videos, or maybe you might know this, but the ignition, I believe on every Porsche, maybe it's just the sports cars, the ignition is on the left, and that's because race car. Porsche race cars, the left ignition is always on the left to start the car because of Le Mans. All the Le Mans drivers that had to run to their cars and start their cars very quickly. It was easier for the driver to use his right hand to shift, and his left would start the car. So if you really cared about how quickly you start the car and get going, you want the ignition to be in a different hand. So as tradition, Porsche puts their ignition on the left side, which is pretty cool. So along with ignition, being on the left, you have the light switch here. It's off in the farthest most left position. Then home, that means that the lights stay on 30 seconds after you open the door, so it's to illuminate your driveway so you can walk inside safely. And then you have the parking lights. It's the third setting. And then to turn on the lights is on the far right. Turns on all your lights. All right, let's go over the instrument cluster. So as you see, I have the ignition turned on. So you have the fuel gauge on the right. You have the temperature, engine temperature on the top. Usually, I believe Porsche recommends when that needle gets to the normal operating temperature, I guess it goes, I think when the needle goes up to 175, at that point the engine is warm, and you're able to drive your car to its utmost potential. So I would recommend, if you're driving a Porsche, you allow the car to heat up, something I didn't know years ago. You want to allow the car to heat up to the normal temperature. Specifically, you could use the engine temperature. More specifically, it's more important the oil temps are up to normal operating temperature. In my other car, I believe it might be 120 degrees, 180, I think it's 180, that the manufacturer recommends the oil temps get up to about 150 or 180 degrees before you go full throttle. So I guess that's what I was trying to say. I would recommend that you wait until that needle gets up to 175 before you go full throttle in your Porsche Cayman. You've got really cool feature. You've actually got the tack in the center. It's the most predominant feature of this car. Is it revs up to about 7,500 RPM. I think well, the gauge goes up to red line is 75, but I think fuel cutoff is at 7,000 or 7,200 RPM. Revs all the way up there. Naturally aspirated engine, 9A1 motor. Then you've got the speedometer there on the left, so it's not as predominant as the tachometer, interesting enough. This particular car at this point is 47,000 miles. You've got your little trip button here, which you can set it or reset it. And then you've got your little clock here. This adjusts the clock if you want. It doesn't remember daylight savings, so when that changes over for United States or America, you have to change that manually, change the hour. And it also has the temperature reading. I believe that's the outside temperature reading. If you notice here, the center part of the display, I've got it showing my tire temps. Those tire temps are not very accurate. They're just a ballpark to show you how much air's in your tires. So when you start driving, those numbers will go up. Also smart to wait until your tires air pressure gets up to normal warm temperatures before you drive the car hard. That's a good point. And then if you notice, you've got this little function lever here. This allows you to change the menus here in the display. So I'm going to play around with that. I'll show you a little bit how the oil filter, or I'm sorry, the oil gauge works in this car. This car doesn't, because it's mid-engine, because of the strange design, Porsche doesn't give you a way to check your oil manually. There's no dipstick for this car. So you actually have to do an electronic check for your oil. So as with the engine temps that I was discussing before, you have to drive the car around for a few minutes, get the engine up to temperature, and then you can check the oil. So let me see if I can find that. So you've got the different menus here. You can scroll up and down, pressing up or down on the lever on the left, and you've got the oil menu. So if I tap forward, it goes into the oil menu. See, it says measurement only possible while idling. Let's see if we can get that going. All right. Seatbelt warning there. Another funny little quirk. If you drive over 15 miles an hour, the seatbelt light chime will chime. It will keep telling you and telling you and telling you. It will continuously chime every minute or second you're past 15 miles an hour and you don't have your seatbelt attached. So funny little quirk about the car. It really nags you, really wants you to put on your seatbelt. I have another car that doesn't do that at all. It's just a light, which is great because if you're just driving in a parking lot, you're taking out the trash or whatever, you're just driving in the parking lot, you don't need your seatbelt, you're going to get out soon. But it can be kind of annoying, but it's a safety feature. So I can go into my menu. You see, there goes my air temp. So that's the TPS system. TPS system monitors the tire pressure of each of the tires. And then I go into my menu, oil menu, as I showed you before. Press forward, engine warmed up. So we'll come back to that later. And go back. It's got navigation. So if you had the CDR radio in this car, you could actually go into the navigation menu. I believe you can choose destinations this way. Without having to fool with a radio in the center, you can actually go into this menu and choose your destination. There may be some other options you can do with a trip computer. I'm not sure with the navigation and the radio. Audio, same thing. You could do certain things with the audio. I wish I could show you that. You could probably find another video on YouTube that will show you how to use the audio system. Telephone, same thing. This is how you can access the telephone, answer or hang up on calls. I think you can also dial someone using this menu. Info, let's go into that. You got the messages. I believe that might be phone messages, I'm not really sure. You got the service menu. Service and 9,000 miles, I believe that's for oil. If you change your own oil, you'll have to buy a special device to reset the maintenance interval on that. Usually the device is around $100, $120, I think. I wish I could tell you which one I use. I got it online. I got the tip from another YouTube user. But if you change your own oil, you have to go into the service menu. I believe you hook, there it is. There is where the port is. So that's where you hook up to the OBD2 port with your device to reset the maintenance interval. Okay, so we can back out of that. And then you got your limits. This is very interesting. You've got a special chime that will ring if you reach a certain limit. If you notice, there's a little checkbox there. I don't have it active. So if I wanted to do that, that means, and then I can set this individually or separately, I can set this to where it reaches 75 miles an hour. A little chime will tell me that I've reached that speed. That's really useful if you're not watching your speed, if you have to drive through a lot of speed traps or speed cameras. That's very useful. It kind of gives you a little auditory reminder that you've reached a certain speed. I had it turned off. The reason I have mine set to 75 is that tells me that my spoiler is going up, because like I said, when you're driving you can't hear the rear spoiler go up. So that was a little chime just giving me the indication that it went up. So as like I said, you can activate or deactivate that, which is real nice. You go back to the limit, that's the top one. If I go back down, back to oil, you got TPM. So that's your tire pressure monitoring. You can do different things, like if you change your wheels on the car, you can actually change what type of tires are on the car. Summer tires or winter tires. Alright, resuming our video. So I'm just checking the oil. And if you see those two little hash marks, top and bottom, Porsche recommends that the oil is in between those hash marks. If it's above that top hash mark, it's too much oil. And if it's below the lower hash mark, it's not enough oil. You have to add oil immediately. So check it again. If you notice, I'm in the center. I believe Porsche says it's a little over a quart, so each one of those little marks up and down, those little horizontal marks, represent a quart, a little over a quart of oil. The car takes about 8.5 quarts of oil. So when you fill it up, you want to put about 8 quarts in, and then you want to measure. And if your oil gauge is in the middle like mine, that's almost perfect. It could be one level up, it could be at the top hash, it's fine. If it's one level down, one little mark down, that's fine too. But you want to do is you want to put about 8 quarts in the car when you change your oil. Drive your car around for a few minutes, check your oil this way, and if the mark shows or the level shows in the middle, you're good. If it's closer to the lower hash, you want to maybe add a quart of oil in that place that I showed you before, and then check your oil again. You might want to run the engine for a few minutes just to get the oil circulating, but usually what I have to do is put 8 quarts in, and then usually I just add half a quart or a quart to top it off. Usually that's good. Another quick little note, if you look at my car, it only has certain options there. Of course, I think you have all the Caymans have the traction control on the right side there, but you have a lot of blank space there. That's usually where you would see the sport exhaust, the SPE button for to activate the sport exhaust feature if you have that option installed. You also have the PASM button. The PASM is the Porsche dynamic, or yeah, I guess it's the dynamic suspension option that you can get as standard equipment, or well, it's not standard, it's an option. Those two buttons I know of that you can have installed there if you have those two options. If you know of any other buttons that go down here, just mention that in the comments. Thanks. Up in the top on the roof, you have the visors. You've got the little vanity there, mirror inside, little lights there that light up. That's kind of cool. So when you pull the visor towards you, it lights up. Little lights on the left and right. And you've got a similar thing on the passenger side. Similar type of feature. Very small. These, shout out to Straight Pipes YouTube channel. Let me do the visor test. No, it's a fail. So supercar fail, or supercar pass, however you want to think about that. All right, and then you have the buttons here. These buttons are to program for your electronic gate entry or your garage door opener. So what you do is you take your garage door, handheld garage door device, whatever you want to call it, and you go up to the front of the car, believe the front of the bumper, and you have to program this. So I think you hold this down for a certain number of seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, I forgot how many seconds, and then you go over and you press the button of the garage door receiver that you already have for your garage door, and you either press it or you hold it. I can't remember which one. There's probably instructions online how to do this. And then you come here and you press the button again, I believe, and I think that little light in the center lights up. So again, if you want to program this, I think you hold this for a certain number of seconds. You go around to the front of the car. I think the car gives you 30 seconds or 60 seconds to do this. You press the button on your receiver at the front of the bumper where the radio device is, the radio receiver. And then you come back here and you press this button again. And I think that programs your garage door opener. 2 map lights on the ceiling. So you can control the map lights using these buttons. They either turn on, turn off, or they're automated. They turn on or off when you open or close the door. Tire pressures for the Cayman, 987.2. In the front, you've got 32 pounds per square inch, and for the rear, you've got 34 pounds per square inch. A couple more stats about the car. It's got a 16.9 gallon fuel tank capacity with a 2.6 gallon reserve. It's 171.1 inches long, and it has a width of 70.9 without the mirrors, and the height is 51.4 stock height. This one, of course, has been lowered on KW-V3 coilovers, so my height's going to be about an inch, about 1.4 inches lower than the stock. A quick thing about the performance, the 0 to 60 Porsche time is 4.9 seconds for the manual transmission. I believe the PDK is 4.7 seconds for the PDK automatic transmission. And the top speed of the Cayman S is going to be 172 miles per hour. Might be a little different. I believe it's 171 for the 987.1, the prior generation. 987.2 is 172 miles per hour top speed. 987.2 Cayman S comes equipped with a 9A1 motor. That motor is a flat 6 Boxster engine. It's where the word Boxster comes from. Actually, it's a Boxster engine. That's where Porsche derives the word Boxster, one being a Boxer engine and the other one being it's a Roadster. This is a Cayman, so it's not a Boxster, but it's the same, built on the same platform as the Boxster. Little bit differences, slight differences between, it's got a little bit of bespoke parts in it to be the Cayman. It's got a little bit of Boxster parts and actually a little bit 911 parts in the car. Just wrapping up here, talking about things that I might have forgotten. It's got instead of the electronic brake that's in the, I think the 981 has the, hold on a second, turning off my radio. The 981, I believe, has an electric brake. The 987.2, the prior generation of the 981, has a handbrake. Cool little handbrake to do your drifts with if you'd like. I believe Porsche says that they changed that to save weight. So removing this and removing the cables to the rear brakes, I guess save some weight. The 981 is a little lighter than the 987.2, so maybe that's where some of those weight savings came in. And you also have another thing that I didn't mention. Another special thing about the steering of this generation. This is the last Porsche Cayman generation, or Boxster. I would say the 987.2. It's the last generation, built in 2012, before the 981 came out in 2013. This was the last generation to have hydraulic steering. So if you want a Cayman that's got hydraulic steering, you want either a 987.1 or a 987.2. Funny little quirk about the car that I didn't know before today, actually, is that the horn won't work unless you turn on the car. So now that I have the car on, that's how you use the horn. That's what the horn sounds like in a Cayman. More features like other 911s and Caymans and Boxsters. You have the cup holders. So where are the cup holders? They're not there, not there, not in the door, not in the center console. So where are the cup holders? They're right here. This little cup thing right there. So if you push forward and release, you've got two cup holders. I assume one for the driver, one for the passenger. One's right there, the one's right here. So if you push in and release, you've got a little spring-loaded cup holder. And then you can put pretty large size cup in. I don't think you can put a 32-ounce cup in, but you can put something pretty large. All water bottles fit in there. So it has a little adjustable arm, which is cool. You just fit that down in there. It sticks up pretty high when you put a tall bottle, but it holds it in there pretty quick, especially if you fold the this arm back in. And then you've got the other one here. Same thing, you push in, release, spring-loaded, comes up. You can adjust the arm of this one, same as the other one. Now, something a lot of people don't know, these are flimsy. Doug Demuro mentioned in one of his videos about a Porsche, hey, what's with this? Like, this thing doesn't seem very secure, right? Well, there's a little trick here. If you close the door back, it doesn't move. Amazing German engineering here at work. You see it here firsthand. German engineers. Brilliant. So you want to close it. Usually I push that arm back in, fold it in, close that one, fold it in till it clicks, push this up till it clicks. There you have the cup holders in the Cayman S or the Cayman Boxster, any of the 987s. Talk about another little personal feature of mine. See, it has a little roll bar there behind the front seats. The roll bar, well, the roll bar is probably to keep luggage or something from sliding in the front part of the compartment. But another little useful feature for it is you can buy like a roll cage GoPro mount, and you can stick it right on there. So if you were thinking about where to mount your camera, you can mount it to the windshield. Some people do that. You can mount it to the side window, unless the track organizers want you to roll your window down for the track. You want to put it there. So that's where I mount my GoPro, using a handlebar or roll cage mount. Once again, this is my 2012 Porsche Cayman S Black Edition. Really exciting things coming in the few months, so stick with this channel. If you have any questions, like I said, I've done a lot of research. You can go to caymanregister.org to find a lot of that stuff. You click on the facts link, you can find out anything you want to know about the 987.2, 987.1, 981. A lot of information is there. That helped me out a lot to create my accompanying video for this. Like I said, tune in a month or two. We've got some really exciting stuff coming for this car. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.